Hey, lighten up, jerk!
Hey, switching topics really quick. So, give me a recap of this whole Michael Jackson discussion because I didn't check it out yet.
Okay. Well, we just went over. Okay. The actual discussion. We just talked about the evidence and the documentary.
Did you guys watch it?
I haven't watched it
I
yet.
still haven't watched it yet.
I'm gonna watch it probably within the next week or
but
so.
we're mostly talking
But-
about
but
the
this
things that things that are pretty well known or at least really badly kept secrets within Hollywood.
I had felt I had the stuff that I talked about on when this airs a few weeks ago was stuff that obviously from all the trials that have taken place and I'm not saying that I don't like Michael Jackson's music because he's a great artist, creepy as he is, but this is all stuff that's out there. I didn't need to watch the documentary to know he was a fucking creepo.
But that's the thing, because I don't know too much about the documentary or anything, but at the end of the day, he's dead and he doesn't have a chance to.
Yeah. Well,
But the
defend
problem
himself, but-
here's the problem though is that he still has victims that are suffering from this. One of the kids' families that he had, the kids that he molested,
They committed suicide. The dad.
yeah, it was they had divorced. I don't know if it was the mom that killed herself or the dad that killed herself, and it's it tore apart a family. And that kid that was fucked by Michael Jackson is probably gonna end up, unless he has some sort of therapy, is probably gonna go on to become a child molester himself. This is the problem with this. It becomes a virus where a lot of these people that get abuse as kids sexually, they end up becoming the very thing that happened to them. It's happened probably 90% of the cases of these child molesters or these children that are molested by child molesters become child molesters themselves. So everyone's saying oh, Michael Jackson's dead. Why are we bringing this up? And it's kind of, they look at the you can say oh, well, Tucker Carlson, he said all these terrible things from 10 years ago. Why are we digging up the past? Well, the problem is that doesn't matter anymore. That was it was a a dumb radio show. This is something where real victims that are still affected by this mentally and could potentially become child molesters themselves. So it's very relevant today.
Well, here's the question: at the end of the day, though, there's no hard evidence, right?
Yeah, there is hard evidence.
Is there?
Yeah. Here's the thing with what we know. And let's if you want to say the kids that were on this documentary, their whole thing. Okay, let's throw all that away.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the evidence that's actually there. We have and from his own admission that he slept with kids in his bed that weren't his own kids. From a 30-year-old sleeping with 6-year-olds. Are you gonna, and let's take his celebrity status out of it. Let's take all Michael Jackson, great. Let's say it was Joe Johnson from down the street. Are you gonna let your 6-year-old sleep with a 30-year-old? Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, that part was weird.
And not only did he admit it on camera, but he was proud about it. He's oh yeah, I just sleep with the kids. It's great. Yeah, fuck that. It's yeah, fuck that. That's disgusting.
I know, right? But
here's the other thing too. When there was secret hidden rooms that were locked away that had sensors to detect when people were coming close by. Yeah, you had this weird bondage porn where he had taken the heads cut off kids' heads and put the superimpose them on this weird bondage porn
bodies,
pictures. Yeah. He had all this weird
He did that?
Yes.
Well,
when was that found out?
It was after. It was a little bit after he died, and then they found this secret room in Neverland Ranch. It was filled with all this there was a picture of Macaulay Culkin, and then I guess that's where they found all the this kind of child pornography in the sense that there's child faces on the again, like Robert said, superimposed over the faces and on the bodies of regular porn or more kinkier porn, but it just had child faces.
Dude, I did not know about that.
Yeah,
man.
and then here's the other thing that Andy was trying to be a dick about, that he brought up too, is what about people like Macaulay Culkin and what's his face?
Corey Feldman.
Yeah, Corey Feldman. Why didn't they say anything about it? It's well, who's to say that Macaulay Culkin's one thing. He's kind of come in defense, but you look at Corey Feldman, and it's like he's been talking about all this, all these child molesters and all this terrible stuff in Hollywood, which we kind of know is real, but he's never named names for one. So why, and the thing is, because sure, Michael Jackson's dead, but he still has his estate worth, like, with these lawyers that are still underemployed that, like, defend him. And it's like, if you come out against that, because even with, like, this Leaving Neverland documentary, they went hard after these people. And the fact is, like, people that would come out against him, like, they're going to have all this, people are scared about, like, that, legal action. And Corey Feldman's never, said any names. So we don't know. Michael Jackson was probably one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Because he, to his admission, as fucking crazy as he is, I think he's telling the truth and saying that, and that I think Corey Feldman's telling the truth, because he said, like, if you knew what I knew, and if I told you the names that were involved, you would be, it's dangerous to me, and you would be shocked. And I believe him. And I think Michael Jackson is probably one of those people.
So you said his lawyers will go after them?
I think so. And I think people are scared about that.
So the people in Leaving Neverland were like, "Screw it, dude." Like,
I think it's like their life's already probably fucked up as it is. And and when Andy, like, because I got a lot of flack on Twitter about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what I basically did, I took all the arguments that the Michael Jackson apologists put out there, and I just kind of regurgitated to Robert. And I didn't know that he had all like these, bouts on Twitter over it. And then I just come in, just being my normal self, being my normal, like,
Yeah, but that's good.
contrary self.
It's
and then,
good to
and so,
present the other side so you could hear what he has to say.
Exactly. And then, so I just presented like all of the things that were said to, by the Jackson apologists. And then that's when he's like, again, like
what were some of
both
the
barrels. Well, basically what he just said, like, because like one of the accusers, he doesn't necessarily, he had like a kind of, what would you say?
Well, one of the ones was that, like, but he was found not guilty in court several times.
I never.
Did they do DNA testing and all that?
I think this was before like the prominence of DNA testing, but also, I never said like just because he was acquitted doesn't mean he's not guilty.
But that's what I heard too. That was another one that I heard.
Right. And I never asserted that.
Yeah.
I was just bringing forth like these kind of like new things. Like
that was something I shouted at you.
Yeah. But what was it? One of the guys, Wade Robson, like he knew Michael Jackson from a very young age, like 5 or 6 or something, and like I guess like they've had like a pretty close like working relationship. Also, like I think he went on to like choreograph some of his shows, and then an opportunity came to do to choreograph the show, I think, that honored Michael Jackson after he died in Las Vegas. And he really wanted that job, but he was turned down by the estate. The state, like, they went with somebody else. And then, so after that, after he was turned down for that job that he really wanted, he then all of a sudden comes out against Michael Jackson. So, and I think that's what the apologists kind of throw. It's like, isn't that kind of like... shady that as soon as he doesn't get something that he wants, he comes out against Michael Jackson. That's someone who he like defended for so many years, and so that's one of the things I threw out there also. But then also there was also a study done by I think a forensic psychologist saying like Michael Jackson doesn't conform to the typical like pedophile profile, where like especially like one who has like immense like power, like he basically tried to diddle like every kid in sight. But apparently, because Macaulay Culkin said that he was never diddled, or Corey Feldman says that he was never diddled by Michael Jackson. They both come out in defense of Michael Jackson. They say that if he was a pedophile, then he doesn't exhibit any of like the typical actions of a pedophile.
Well, and here's the other thing too is like a lot of these people that were talking on this documentary and like some of the other ones that were in these court cases, like when you're describing like his genitals like in graphic detail, as far as like even like the underside of his genitals, like, yeah, I think something happened to you, or at least he fucking showed him to, which is horrifying enough. But like, you have that, and then it just to me there's weight in all the like the he would kind of to win over these families. He would spend millions of dollars on gifts and whatever these people wanted, and it was kind of like
bribery.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, a lot of these people, a lot of these kids were seeking fame. It's like, wow, Michael Jackson. And, like, Michael Jackson was one of the biggest stars throughout his lifetime. From from the 70s on until like even his creepy phase back in like before he died. Still a huge star, right? And it's like, wow, Michael Jackson wants to talk with me? That's awesome. And so, parents, and their kids, like, and maybe their kids wanted to get into music. Maybe they wanted to get into Hollywood. Michael Jackson's interested in me. Maybe that's a step up. Awesome. This is great. And so he spends millions of dollars on the kids that he wants to fuck. And he wins over the parents and all this stuff. And, yeah, do whatever. It's fine. And... But he only did it to the kids that were like, it wasn't every kid. He wasn't a philanthropist. Like, oh, I want to do stuff for kids and set up. I want them to get good education and all that stuff. That's not what he was doing. He was just spending millions of dollars in silence money. And as soon as like he got tired of them, they were gone. Or if they decided they wanted to speak out, oh, well, I'm going to send my lawyers after you. That's what he did. He's a disgusting monster who made fucking great music.
So the kids, I heard like, because I think my buddy saw some of the documentary, and I asked him like, why didn't the kids say anything earlier?
And the other thing too is like with some of those parents too, it's like, well, he's paying us millions of dollars. It's like that's not
they turned a blind eye.
Yeah, they turned a blind eye.
Yeah, because one of the other kind of arguments for Michael Jackson was like the parents were like awful. They were just like, very...
That's also a possibility.
Well, that's also, yeah. They're opportunistic, and there's, they, even like when Michael gave him the money, it's like, oh, this isn't enough, and things like that.
But I heard also, when I asked why didn't the kids say anything, he told me that, I guess they were saying that they felt honored, because it's like, oh, Michael Jackson's doing this for me. He's keeping the secret from me, and blah, blah, blah. And then they would get jealous when Michael... Apparently, they found out he was molesting the other kids too. They didn't feel special. That's what I heard.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is like when you're a kid, like it's different. Like for us, we see like the disgusting, the just evil that's in it. But like when you're a kid, like, and especially with like the celebrity, status of Michael Jackson, is like. It's kind of, you don't know what's like right. You're kind of still figuring out what's right and wrong, and it's like
right. You're still spellbound by all like the celebrity and all the thing, all the
really
trappings.
Wrong, but like I don't know. Like, am I supposed to go along with this? Like my parents, like they are saying it's okay. So, and Michael's saying it's okay. Maybe it's okay, and it's just you don't know. Like, and that's it, you get this weird. It's just evil.
Of course, if he really did that, obviously it's freaking terrible. I never paid too much attention just because I didn't think there was actual hard evidence. Otherwise, I would think, why didn't he go to jail?
Yeah, it could,
like the DNA testing.
I'm throwing out all of the testimony from these kids, just looking from what he said and what they found in his house.
Yeah, that part I didn't even know, dude. The bondage pictures, that's freaking disgusting.
And the fact that like,
what did they say about that to defend him?
And from the circumstantial evidence
I think a lot of the media like kind of buried it. Like it wasn't really talked about. It was
an open joke in Hollywood for years and years.
Right.
I mean, you look at all like
Norm
Dave
Macdonald.
Chappelle made jokes about it. Norm Macdonald made jokes about it. Everyone made jokes about it because they knew it was. A lot of them, I think that they knew it was true. It's like, oh, it's like he's a child molester. Great. But the thing is, like, it's. No one did anything.
But that still surprises me because that's like something out of the ordinary. Pictures on the bondage and people don't do anything about it.
Because you look at like all like the stuff with like child like sex slaves and all this shit. Like they don't care. People don't care. It's evil and they don't care.
Damn, dude.
And it's all over the world and no one gives a damn.
Damn, dude. Word. Michael Jackson. I still, yeah, I like his music, like you said. But if he really did that, then
He's a piece of shit.
Good riddance.
I'm not happy. I'm happy he's dead. To be honest, because he can't attack any more kids. And here's so all like, you look at all the evidence that like that's from what they found, what he said about himself, admittedly, and he was proud of it. And then you have like the circumstantial evidence of like him. He only gave money to the kids that were that he was targeting, that were known, kind of that he molested, or the kids that he wanted to molest. Yeah, I don't know if he got to them all or whatever. It wasn't like that he was just giving a whole like a bunch of money to like let's set up a kids charity and all that stuff, like because there's a bunch of those. That's not what he was doing.
Yeah, he wasn't like a junkie.
It was
rapper.
only to like certain kids that he was interested in.
Damn. Well, that's a good update. No, it's interesting. I wanted to.
Sorry, like my blood is boiling again, and not because
this
like
isn't even like half of the strength that he went on me.
I was.
But again, I was.
I'll watch, I'll watch that episode.
I was just being a troll.
If I wish you were recording some of the behind the scenes because I was fucking furious.
Yeah, I know.